Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of the Rice Vodka Life podcast. Today we'll be talking about goals, visions, dreams, the lot. Just got back from Melbourne and I'm so excited to record this episode and share all these different thoughts and ideas that will hopefully allow you to bring change into your life. Let's kick it off with a question. Peter, do you actually care about your goals, or do you think people actually care about some of the goals that they set out there?
Nice. It's a beautiful question, and I think I care about my goals because most of my goals I've made it very achievable, and I think that is an important part about my goals is that I set, smaller goals. I do have larger goals in the back of my mind, but what I prioritize are goals that I can achieve. So, for example, certain lifts at the gym, or a certain proficiency of Korean when I'm studying, or other things like that, and just being more productive in general. So I definitely care about my goals because it has an immediate effect on my life. So yeah, but in terms of other people, I'm not sure. I mean, how about you?
Yeah, I think in terms of actually caring about goals, there's a lot of goals that people set, or I've even set myself, where you have this, far-fetched goal in mind and you think this is going to be amazing if I achieve this. It could be something like, I want to make $1 million or something random like that. But we don't actually have a why or a true reason why we want to reach certain things. We have all these ideas like, I want to get really massive at the gym or something like that, where it's just such a broad general thought or an idea that we want to achieve something and we don't narrow it down. I think we don't come up with a real true reason of why we want to accomplish that and how. Like you said, breaking it down into realistic steps and things where it's measurable, like a certain lift. If you've got a certain kg of weight that you're trying to push, if you can push that weight, if you've achieved that goal. And I think, that sort of thought and idea is definitely key because goals should be measurable. We should be able to track it. But they also don't have to be super realistic and easy to achieve. Yesterday, actually, there's a guy called Eliud Kipchoge. He's one of the most famous runners in the world. And he managed to run an under 2 hour full 42-kilometer marathon, and that's the first time that's ever been achieved in history. The other groundbreaking thing before that was a 4-minute mile, but it's insane that people have these ideas and they just go after them and they achieve them. Some things are much harder than others, but really anything is possible if we put our minds to it, right? I mean, what limits we place on ourselves really do restrict us.
Nice, absolutely. I mean, well, in that case, I guess, how achievable should your dreams be?
I think there's a blend, if you're, say, this is actually a random thought, but say you're an MMA fighter. I don't know if you guys know about MMA or the UFC, but the very pinnacle of fighting in that sport is to achieve a bout, to be ranked and classed as the very top fighter in your weight class and to be classed as, number one, the best. But after that, there's so much more. You guys, I'm guessing a lot of you guys know Conor McGregor is, he won 2 bouts and he went on to do a little bit more. And there's other things that you can do. You've got a journey and a legacy well beyond just those bouts for those fighters. But I think this also relates to life. We might set a goal like we want to reach this or that. And there are people that reach a very, very high level. And it's incredible what they achieve. People like Tyson Fury, he got to a very high level. He achieved exactly what he wanted to achieve. But then he kind of reined it in and he was stuck and confused of where he was going from that point. And I think that if we set a goal that's too realistic and too easy for us to achieve, or once we get there, we should always have something beyond that, something further that we're looking forward to. I think that something for me is I don't think I'm ever going to reach my certain goals in terms of fitness or making money or this or that, because I want to continue to expand and grow. As I get better, as I get closer to maybe one of the smaller goals, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have smaller realistic goals, then I'll be able to shift that by, so it's further and further so that I never reach it, because I don't want to reach certain areas of my life, because I want to keep improving those things and pushing them further and further and growing to new levels and new heights, and I think that that's a cool way to live. Obviously, I'm not saying that you should have such insane pressure on yourself that you're always just trying to stretch. There's times to rest, there's times to pull back and reflect on whether the goal that you've set is worth it. I originally, a while ago, I wanted to do a fight in boxing. I thought that would be the ultimate goal. But as I've learned different things and come to understand different things for myself, I've decided that that's not the best approach or goal that I want to set for myself.
I think reevaluating your goals is good as well. Like, just because you set a goal at one point in time doesn't mean you have to keep going to that goal even though you lost passion for it. And I think that's should be accepted, when you decide that whatever goal you set, you're no longer passionate about it, and change is fine. As long as you change your goal and you start pursuing something that you want to enjoy and actually do that, then I think it's more beneficial for you. Because, like your passion for a job changes, or like your tastes change and your favorite food change. You know, one day I like pizza, and then 5 years later I don't eat pizza, for example, right? I think that's important. And then coming up to that, I think what I understood from what you said, Taco, is that it's the idea of setting a goal as opposed to actually reaching it, almost. Because you said like you're almost always having it out of reach, or I don't know. Can you explain that a little bit more?
When you're referring to realistic or unrealistic, that's what I mean. Because I think sometimes, people will say it's realistic for me to say reach $10,000. But imagine if you set the goal as $100,000 and you only fall a bit shy and you get $80,000. Wouldn't you enjoy that much more than if you say, I'm going to set a real small, easy, simple goal. I'm going to try to make $10,000 and you reach it. Wouldn't you rather have that 80,000 when you were shooting for 100,000? I think that's much better. That's the kind of concept I'm trying to put out there, is stretching and putting yourself in a position where you're aiming for a goal that is far beyond what you think you can achieve. But even if you don't make it there, you're going to get so much further than if you just set a small, tiny, realistic, easy goal that you can reach.
Right. Back to the 100K, I guess. Could that be discouraging for some people? And for example, like, how do you keep yourself motivated? Because if you're trying to get to 100K and say you're just not even scratching the surface and you can only save 8K, could that be discouraging? And how do you keep yourself motivated?
Yeah, I think things can definitely be discouraging, especially when it's point blank in front of you, whether you're getting close to that goal or not. You've got to change what you're doing, obviously. If you want to reach 100K, you can't have a 10K, 1K mindset, right? You've got to change what you're doing. You've got to shift. And staying motivated, I don't think it's about staying motivated, whether it's fitness or any area of goals. It ain't about staying motivated. Do you truly want it? Only you know that. And when you truly want it, you'll set aside time. You'll make the small steps, the little daily tasks, and you'll put focus on it. And your heart, your mind and your intention and your action will ultimately follow that, I think, and will pull you through. Do you truly want it? Anyone can say they want to make 100K. Who doesn't want to win the lotto out there? Everyone. But flip the lotto, bro. Why would you depend on something that is up to chance? An example of this is, I actually entered a competition to go to Melbourne and see the UFC through this VIP competition, and it would have included accommodation, flights and everything. But stuff that I'm not going to wait for the opportunity of whatever chance probability that was in order for me to make it there. I'm going to make my own plans. I'm going to pay my own way. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it, and I think that is important when it comes to goals. Don't let it be in anyone else's hands. If it's something where you have to rely on someone else, then change the way you're doing it so that it doesn't have to rely on someone else. Because sometimes, and a lot of the times, people don't care about your goals as much as you do. You need to make things happen. You need to take it into your own hands. You need to grasp your dreams, your visions, and what you want to do, and you need to start taking action now. And I'm speaking to myself here as well, but I think these thoughts could be relevant for anyone in any pursuit that they have in life at the moment.
Waiting for chances is definitely not good, and I feel like through your hard work, you create your own chances, and you increase the chance that you can, get that success. If you just get a lottery ticket and wait for that, it's never going to happen. I feel like that is related to dating as well, or finding a girlfriend. One of my friends, he wants a girlfriend, and we were talking about it, and he goes, I want a relationship. I'm like, okay, well, I first ask him why, etc., right? And he goes, he wants someone to be in his life. I'm like, okay, what are you doing now to get a girlfriend? He goes, well, I just stay at home and play games with my friend. And I'm like, well, how many chances do you think? Do you want a girl to just randomly come into your house, or find a girl online randomly? You got to increase your chances, and whether it's Tinder or going to a party, etc., and meeting more people and networking and getting a lot more availability in that sense.
Yeah, I think something that is real relevant there when we're talking about girls is actually, what goals do you have in your personal life before you're even worrying about girls? Because I think, honestly, sometimes we can feel kind of lonely or this and that, and we can want some company and this and that. But really, if you've got nothing going on in your life, you're not going for anything, you have no pursuits whatsoever, what kind of girl is even going to want to get to know you, Like, you attract what you are, right? If you've got no goals, no ambition, nothing, then you're going to attract that kind of person into your life. And I don't know if you want to have someone who's a flippant anchor dragging you down in your life. You need to have things that you are pursuing. And they can be all sorts of different things. They can be things that for the good of others. You can be volunteering. You can be pursuing financial goals. You can be pursuing goals in education and work. But have some goals, honestly. There's nothing like achieving things and growing, I've only started scratching the surface in terms of the things that I want to work towards. But it feels amazing, who doesn't want to feel that?
Yeah, and relationships are definitely a tricky one because when someone anchors you down, it can be really just deteriorating, and it's harder because you always need support as well. It's not like you said before, the 75 hard. It's called hard because it is hard, right? It's not an easy task, and when you have someone else weighing you down, it just makes it even easier to fail. So when it comes to that relationship, I think like when you do need someone, you don't need someone, but if you have someone who's supportive for you, I think that's also a good thing. It's but it shouldn't be something that you pursue purely like, oh, I want a girlfriend for the reasons of having a girlfriend. But instead you should, be in a relationship with someone because you naturally fell into it and you guys both like each other's company and you are supportive of each other. And it's positive, it's a positive change in your life.
Yeah, I feel like almost with that as well is, you want to share your life with a partner, right? I see that as a key aspect of relationship. If you ain't got nothing to share, you ain't doing anything with your life, what the heck are you going to share with the person that you're going out with anyway? You guys are just going to be together. And I think often, I've thought this as well myself, is we can be more interested in the idea of having a girlfriend, actually having a real relationship where we're sharing our lives and, building something that's awesome.
Absolutely. And back to that 100K, what you mentioned as well, like falling into a routine, I think works. And you, like if you, instead of having a goal for 10K, if you have a goal for 100K, and you fall into a routine and make these incremental changes to actually achieve that, I see what you mean by you can maybe get to 80K, but it's a lot closer it's a lot more than 10K. So it's interesting. And
yeah. But I think at that point anyway, if you've gotten to 80K, you'll have so many skills and ideas and thoughts where you'll be able to reach that 100K. It's just going to take a little bit longer. If you can go from 10K to 80K, you can definitely do a whole lot more. And these are just hypothetical figures, guys. These don't actually mean anything specific. They're just numbers that are easy to think about and kind of draw a comparison and build the different ideas that we put out so far.
Basically got to change your mindset. And so what are some goals, Taco, that you've reached, and what was your reaction to it going forward?
Some goals that I've reached. I think for me, a goal that I definitely reached is I wanted to be in the best shape of my life around this sort of age. And I'm definitely in the best shape of my life that I've been, or pretty much there. And it's pretty awesome to be in that place from when I imagined that when I was 18. It wasn't actually a specific goal that I set, but I remember thinking that clearly. I've also reached some other financial goals that I set. I wanted to be able to achieve certain things in terms of when I was 18, I wanted to be able to reach a point where I'd be able to do certain things with my finances, and I'm able to do all of those things currently, which is pretty amazing. Yeah.
Well, I guess when it comes to goals, dreams, why is it important to have a vision?
I think it's important to have a vision so you overall know where you're going and what you're about. I would say that I don't have an exact, clear, written down vision, but I know part of the vision for my life is I want to help people, I want to share ideas, and this is exactly why I'm doing this podcast, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity, and I really appreciate that you guys take the time to listen. I think also a vision for my life is I want to be the very best version of myself that I can be, and that rolls over into fitness, into finances, into relationships, into family, into every area. And vision for me, I think, encompasses philosophy, and it really drives down deep to the core of who you are and allows you to have a standard or a bar almost of where you're going and what you're doing and why you're doing it. And with that, I think it gives you more confidence to step forward even when there's confusion or adversity and other things like that.
All right, so Taco, I know you recently went to Melbourne as well. You saw that Israel Adesanya fight. So how was it, man?
Bro, it was honestly incredible. I had high expectation for what that fight would be like live, and honestly, it well exceeded my expectation. The fights before, the whole environment at UFC 243 was amazing. But specifically speaking about Israel, I think the incredible thing is he has been working towards this moment for the past 8 or 9 or 10 years, or even when he first decided to move from, I think he was in Rotorua, he drove up with his car to Auckland with nothing in it but his clothes, and he moved into an MMA gym and he started fighting, and his dream was to enter the UFC. And he's not just entered the UFC, he's become the legitimate champion. He's beaten one of the best middleweights in history, and now he's doing incredible things. And I think going back to goals, it's incredible because he mentioned how, a year or two ago, he was in that same stadium, sitting in the nosebleeds. And then now, on the day, last Sunday, his intention was to make Rob's nose bleed. And he did that for sure. But I think the more incredible thing even is if you go back to his Instagram, because I'm quite interested in Izzy. I've looked at some of his posts. One of the very first posts he posted was, him as a really young lad with the UFC glove on his hand. And I think the caption's got something to do with, envisioning being in the UFC. And, he's done that. And I think we look at these different celebrities and fighters, and obviously being at an event like that, there's a lot of fanboys, people that are all hyped and they want to meet these famous fighters and so on. But end of the day, whether it's a famous fighter or a celebrity or anyone you see out there with huge success, or they've accomplished things that you couldn't even fathom or understand, they are actually just a normal human being. They've just done something different to what you've done. They've put in, a different level of work and commitment towards something. Or maybe in some chances, they have struck a bit of luck. But end of the day, I think it all falls back on hard work. And the fact is that any of us can achieve the same thing. And I don't think a lot of people will believe that. I think some people hearing this might be like, nah, bro, what the hell? No way you could be like that, or no way you could do that. But that very thought is what limits you. Humans are humans, we are all equal. We all have blood. We all have the same amount of time in a day. We all brush our teeth. We all do the same shiz, except between, the moment you wake up and the moment you put your head on the pillow. We all do different things. We all spend our time differently. We all focus on different things, and that is what sets us apart. And what do you want to focus on is my real question,
But nice. And you train in the same gym as Adesanya as well, right?
Yeah, I've trained there a little bit, only done a few classes, but honestly, they really, really, really work hard, and they understand how to train and teach themselves, all different aspects of martial arts. An incredible environment, and I'd encourage you, if you've got any interest in martial arts or you want to challenge yourself, go to the wrestling class there, because you cannot wrestle in that class without being seriously challenged. Like, I would say that I'm fairly fit and I eat well and I'm always staying in shape, but that was a hard class, and I was really grinding at the end in order to, keep going and make the most of that class.
Have you had a chance to meet his coach? Because I imagine his coach must be quite good as well, right?
Yeah, I've actually had a chance to talk to his coach Eugene a few times, which has been really incredible. He's such a genuine dude, and he really loves martial arts for real. He's gone over a few different basic techniques with me, which has been really cool. And I think, he's just an awesome guy, and I'm excited to go to their gym and potentially connect with him more in the future.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I actually did a kickboxing class and a Muay Thai class 2 days ago, and that was really fun. 3 hours went by so quickly, and when I trained at the gym by myself, I don't know, it seems like a very long session, but when I was training some martial arts, I don't know, it was really fun for me, and then training there was pretty cool.
I think if you guys have a fitness goal, I love what Peter talked about. The time passes so easily when you're in a fun environment where you're working hard. And all kickboxing, boxing, MMA, whatever kind of martial art gym usually has that aspect. You're around a cool bunch of people, you're training hard, having fun. And if your goal is just to lose weight, there's some serious cardio involved.
Yeah, there is
some skills and self-defense that you can apply. Hopefully you don't have to ever apply it, but you can apply in the situation where it need be. And it's always nice to have that little bit of confidence and understanding how your body works and how you can use it in combat.
Yeah, growing up, my dad always told me actually to take up martial arts, some kind of martial arts, because you always need to be able to defend yourself. And he grew up in a very different time to us, where you have a lot more encounters with drunk people and just fighting in general, where, I don't know, there's a lot of I feel like nowadays you can get by pretty well without fighting, you know what I mean? We live in a pretty civilized society in most cases, and if you avoid, those like high tension areas, you wouldn't really need to get into fight. But back in my dad's time, for example, people would fight almost all the time, and this is back in Russia, so it was almost necessary to become strong, and you get like a lot of like street cred, more or less. But I guess in a Russian like society, or well, not society, more like culture, you're more respected when you're a strong individual, and it's not that you can smash someone; it's the fact that you can't get smashed. That's the thing about it.
I really like that, because I think nowadays we forget that life really is actually a fight, We expect things instantly, but life, regardless of whether you're a martial artist or not, life is a fight, We go through struggles and adversity. You might see on Instagram every day beautiful, easy things that people are enjoying and highlights and shit like that, but life is, at the end of the day, if you really be honest, there is a certain struggle aspect of life. And I think that the good thing about martial arts is when you're training hard and you're in those gritty moments, it really teaches you who you are, and you learn how to push and really struggle and all you focus on in that moment is that small fight, that little exchange of putting your energy and focus into one thing. And I think that really helps to build you. And I thought about this the other day. 75 hard, definitely, if you guys don't know what that is a bit of a challenge where it's all about building your mental skills and also just building you as a person and cultivating discipline in your life. But that challenge really helped me to understand that confidence and all these different aspects are all based on what you do and the actions you take. But I realized, actually looking back, that finding out who I am in terms of pushing through different things when I've done training in terms of boxing has really built me as a person and also allowed me to have a certain level of confidence and understanding of who I am. And I think that is something that's really cool that comes from martial arts that can help you in all areas of your life, especially your goals and understanding who you are. Building discipline and push and drive in those hard moments really helps, I think.
Okay. And you mentioned that Melbourne trip as well that you went by yourself. How was that overall experience?
I think solo travel was something that I always wanted to experience, and then actually going there, it's incredible. Staying in a hostel, you've got all sorts of random people that you're meeting all the time, and literally I think there was only maybe one night where I had dinner by myself. I met different people. On the flight there, actually, I met a guy that had gone to high school with Israel.
What,
and
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The crazy, really, really crazy thing is I actually listened to a podcast where Israel talked about this guy and how he had a friend who was Māori and went to Aussie to do some mining and all these different things about how when he was first fighting and getting into the scene, he had this friend from Rotorua that wanted to invite him to go into the mines and, make mad money and just leave that career path of combat sports behind. And I thought, oh wow, this guy actually seems like a fascinating dude. Imagine meeting him. What are the chances that I am sat right opposite him in the aisle?
Wow.
We had an awesome time connecting and he told me all sorts of cool stories, and we actually ended up having dinner the night where we landed, and it was really, really cool. There was just different people along the way that I met that were so amazing and taught me so many different things. And I think that's the beauty of solo travel, is you are able to flow and do things in your own time when you want to do them. You're able to connect with different people and on the fly make certain things happen or choose not to do certain things. And it's just the most incredible time of just being able to be more comfortable in yourself and also adapt and do whatever you want. Sometimes when you travel with people or do things with other people, you have to kind of lean and compromise and do what they want here and there. But when you're solo traveling, you can do whatever you want. And it's so incredible to be able to make the most of every moment and really take hold of your time and opportunities in front of you while you're traveling and in a new place.
Yeah, I'm a fan of solo traveling myself, to be honest. When I was in South Korea, I was planning a trip to go to Japan, and one of my friends cancelled on me, which was all good because I had another friend who was keen to go, which ended up cancelling as well quite last minute. And I thought, I'm not going to lose this opportunity to travel to Japan just because I hadn't have anyone else to go with. And so I went there by myself, and I'm so glad I did because, I met a lot of people there as well. I stayed in a hostel, so I met quite a few people that I'm still in contact with today, actually, which is pretty cool. But also, like you mentioned, you're on your own clock, so anything that you want to do, you go out and you do it. And when you're satisfied with whatever that is that you're doing, you go out and leave. And it's pretty cool when you have your own schedule and time to, really do what you set out to do, I guess. You don't have to worry about how the other person feels or if they want to do something else or if they're tired and want to go home or if they want to eat this or that. It's a very different experience. And also, you're more inclined to meet other people because you are by yourself. And by yourself does get pretty lonely. So you're naturally, you want to say hi to other people or join in on other things that are happening around, and I think it's a great way to meet people, and it's a very unique experience. Different though. I wouldn't always say that solo travel is always better, but it's definitely an interesting type of traveling. And there's also this guy called Tech Lead on YouTube who talks a lot about his solo travel adventure, and his wife recently actually divorced him and took his kid, and they went from America back to Japan. So his life has changed incredibly, going from a family to being by himself. And so what was a natural traveling experience with a family became a solo travel for him, and he talked about the differences between the two, and it's interesting hearing his opinion. And he does like solo travel as well. It's quite nice.
I think I'd highly recommend solo travel to anyone. Even if you're one of those people that would say, oh, I don't even want to do that, I don't want to stay in a hostel or this and that. That's exactly the reason why you should do it, because it will be super uncomfortable and you'll learn so much about yourself. You'll be in a new place, it'll be a new, incredible experience. And a place like Melbourne or Sydney or somewhere in Australia where it's easy to get there and it's not a super expensive trip can be an awesome way to do it. And I think that, it's opened up a world of ideas and thoughts that I never thought before, where I'm more and more interested in travel, and it's incredible. If I hadn't taken that shot and decided to just buy the ticket, pretty last minute to be honest, a month out, I just decided to go for it, then I wouldn't have had this experience. And I would say that this has truly been, a once in a lifetime experience, and I'll always look back on this experience and draw, the positive things from it. Also the negatives that I've learned things from this trip as well. Definitely has taught me so much. In a space of a week, I felt like I experienced what you experience in normal life in a month. It was amazing.
I mean, I definitely recommend solo traveling as well, but at the same time, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone because, we're both, it's good that we're both, I guess, like, we're guys, so it's a little bit easier for us to be able to solo travel with girls and people that are not too comfortable, or they don't know how to organize and schedule, different hotels, etc. It can be, a little bit dangerous, and depending on which country you go to, but definitely if you're considering solo travel, I would say definitely do it. If there's no way that you can imagine it, or if you feel like scared, I would say try prepare yourself for it, and then really see, or maybe go for a solo travel somewhere in your own country first, and see how that goes, and take up the next level of going abroad.
Yeah, I would say definitely don't be shy to solo travel as a girl on your own. There's a lot of girls out there who go and do solo travel on their own. Obviously, you have different considerations, but I fully agree with you, Peter. Go to places that are safe and are not going to be putting you at significant risk. If you want to do that type of travel, maybe do that later on once you have some experience and a lot of confidence, so you're able to manage any risque situations that may come up. But I truly think that everyone should experience it at least once. You might not like it, you may love it. You never know. I think life, there's a lot of things where if you never try it, you never know. And obviously that doesn't extend to everything, but I think that especially in regards to travel, that is a very relevant expression.
And the reason I brought that up as well is actually I was talking to this girl when I was in China actually, and we both we were talking about our own stories and our own travel, and we when I mentioned Japan, she mentioned that she's been to Japan as well, and she actually got stuck in Japan, so she ended up losing her wallet and she had no means of getting home, so she basically sat outside and cried. And some dude actually pulled over and ended up helping her out, and it was a long story, but she ended up getting back to China like safely. But yeah, she definitely got herself in a sticky situation. And in my case, I would be I was thinking, how did you get to that situation in the first place? But I guess that's where it comes down to. Everyone's different, and I don't know, the way people can react to things is a bit hard. And when you're abroad and you don't speak the language. Like, for example, you did go to Melbourne, right? Which is an English-speaking country. If you do travel to non-English-speaking countries, I think the difficulties do increase. And it is a little bit more trickier, but it's nonetheless, you're going to have an experience that you'll remember for the rest of your life. So, highly recommend it.
Yeah, I agree with you. At the end of the day, you can't be, the type of person, or you can be, a lot of people are, where you think about, oh, this might happen or that might happen, or you might think about, what's the worst possible situation? Yes, prepare for those things, print an extra copy of your passport and put it somewhere else and this and that. But you can't be, walking around. It's not like you don't hop in your car and go down the road and think, oh crap, what's the worst thing that could happen? I could lose my life. You hop in your car, you do what you got to do, you drive safely, you be smart, and, life goes on. Sometimes accidents do happen, but you're not hopping in your car all anxious thinking that, the worst thing's going to happen. And I think the same thing applies to travel. Don't obviously expect the worst to happen, but it can, and plan for it. But don't live in that mindset where you're constantly fixated on the negative,
Yeah, I mean, it's not fixating on the negative more so than actually being aware of that there are consequences. I feel like people that, if you are going to solo travel, you should know how to do it.
100% I agree with you, 100%. You should be prepared and understand what you're going to do. And like I said, take steps. If it's to a place that's easier, like you said, where you guys can both speak English, or it's in a comfortable place, then you can learn and then go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there is tips and tricks to traveling. I met quite a few people actually that are like nomads. Basically, they travel around the world, hopping from hostels to hostel. I personally couldn't do that. They've had some amazing stories, but I wouldn't be able to maintain a nomadic life, to be honest. That's difficult. I think that takes a special type of person. But they definitely know how to get by, and they know how hostels work, and they know how to make side cash if they need it. They know how to travel and go through everything in detail, because every country does have its different laws and restrictions, etc. And it pays to be aware of that. So it's not so much thinking about the negative, but being prepared. And you don't want to just throw yourself out there because it's uncomfortable and expect growth, because reality is it's pretty tough, and there's a lot of things that you should be ready for. Like myself, I'm good at winging things, so I can throw myself in these situations. But I know a lot of people that are not good at winging things, and they crash and they panic and they, you know what I mean? And it's good to learn from those situations, but one step at a time, basically.
Yeah, 100% I agree with you. I'm talking about, when I was referring to the negatives, I'm talking about not letting those possible negatives daunt you from taking hold of the experience.
Right.
Obviously, plan and do all that you need in order to prepare for an amazing trip, but don't let the negatives and possible consequences daunt you and put so much fear in you that you don't go and do anything. You just stay stuck, and you want to do a trip, and you say you're going to do a trip and you never do it. That is the worst thing. To never do something out of fear, to not choose to do something out of fear. We should be free. I think that's one of the most, that's one of the highest goals and priorities. I think if we're going back to goals here, is freedom. Who doesn't want to be free in their finance and their health and their relationships? Who doesn't want to be able to take a hold of those things and not be stuck in living in fear? But I think so often we act out of fear, and I'm talking about myself as well, is that fear in all sorts of ways, whether it's something really significant or really small. It all compounds to, I think, bring a poorer quality of life when we act in fear and we choose to stay captivated by that fear and caged in our struggles and our different things that we are dealing with. But we need to break through that, obviously, in every area of our life in order to reach that next level, because we can't do what we want to do and be who we want to be in the future by being who we are and living the same and thinking the same, right?
Definitely. You should never be acting out of fear, I think. When you do have fear in the back of your mind, that's when you should sit down and really analyze it. Why do you fear it? Or how can you go about changing that? Because, I know quite a few friends that constantly live in fear, and it's limited their progression in life. And I've seen that time and time again where, I don't want to make any call-outs, but, like, I have a few friends that, they don't really have too many goals and ambitions. And when I talk to them, the conversation quickly dies down very, very quickly. And, a lot of times fear is that thing. They need a secure house, because if they don't buy a house, then they don't have anywhere to live, And then there's all these, I guess, like thoughts going through their minds where they need that stability. But in reality, that initial fear is holding them back a lot, But that's my mindset on things. I think you should be, chasing what you want more. So, like I said, I think a few episodes back, some people do crave that comfort and they want to be comfortable, but I don't know, I feel like if you make that comfort decision purely based on fear, then I don't think it's a good one.
Yeah, definitely. We should never be caged in all the things that are holding us back. Well, that's episode 5. It's a bit different to some of our other episodes, but I hope you've enjoyed it. All these ideas are good, but if we do nothing with them, we'll never go forward or we'll never grow on our goals. So I hope you guys can really take something away from this and apply it, and have an awesome rest of your week, whatever you're doing. Keep going hard at what you're doing, and I look forward to sharing with you guys in the next episode. And if you got something out of the episode, as always, share it with a friend, family member, or someone else who you think would benefit from this episode.
And good luck in your solo travels, Thanks, guys. All the best.
Cheers. See you guys in the next one.